Hey guys, Porkchop here, and today I have a deck guide for Aurora for you. This deck mostly focuses on early game survival in the offlane, then leads towards high mana and mana regen with some cooldown reduction. The rest goes into making my basics attacks as strong as possible, as that's where you can deal some big damage. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the new hero and what builds you use. But anyway, let's jump right into the deck. The most obvious card is the prime card being the Archmagus. Then we go for the most standard offlane build being a healer potion and a healer token for the extra regen. Then we have an adamant edge with a strike, lesser health and greater health. This gives me quite a bit of late game health. Then we have the amp crystal, which is a 12.1, and then we have a 6.1, which is the early game solution. Then we have a Guardian's Ward with 3 minor casts. Again, this is my early game ward, which then I go into the Lord's Ward later on for that extra mana and health. Then we have 2 Siphon Shards. The first one is my early game card with the 3 lesser heals, so I get a lot of health regen. The next one is one I want more life steal with the 2 lesser drains and drain, so I have around 20 life steal, which I swap this shard for that shard later on. Then I have a Windcarver Blade with a brutal kinetic and 2 major casts, a bit of attack speed never hurts, and again you do want to focus on that damage. And finally, something to increase my cooldown reduction, being the Chronovore. This is 3 basic sparks, and I've used this card because it does help with that mana regen, as like with my lifesteal, I want to stay on the field for as long as possible. So now we're going to jump into some gameplay while I go over this deck step by step. Firstly, you're going to pick up that health potion and health token right away. This is much needed being really weak early on. What you want to do in the offlane I detailed more in my guide for her, but block the towers with your abilities as much as possible. Once I get enough points, I get the Guardian's Ward straight away, as the quicker you get the ward, the better. Now comes the time you want to get rid of that regen token for the Siphon Shard, which adds a decent amount of health regen and a bit of lifesteal. If your tower is still up, this can keep you on the field for a long time, which is fantastic. I keep this card for usually to the 20 odd minute mark. Once this is done, you're in desperate need for some damage. Early on or really any time with Aurora, I don't feel there's much you need in her deck with her, honestly. But I've got the 6-point Ant Crystal to get that mana and damage and fully upgrade this and the Guardian's Ward. Then you have either 2 choices. One is grab the Adamant Edge for that health but mostly damage, or it's time to get that cooldown reduction with the Chronovore card. Waiting for that 5-point card can take a long time though, so most of the time I do this. If I'm getting low amounts of card points, I will get the cooldown sooner. I will discard my Guardian's Ward for the Lord's Ward, and using that 3 missing card points from the upgraded Guardian's Ward to help me get that Chronovore. I would only need 2 more card points to get it and another 3 to fully upgrade it, which I would do straight away anyway. Then I would swap out my Siphon Shard health regen for the Siphon Shard lifesteal, which adds 17.5 lifesteal. Again, I do this around the 20 minute mark or so when health regen becomes useless. This will keep you in the fight plenty. Now you're going to feel low on mana hitting the mid to late game, so time to double down on the Ant Crystal, removing the 6.1 for the 12.1. Now you're going to have another choice again, depends on how the game is going. Do you need more health or mana? Then pick one of the Lord Ward upgrades, but if not, be brave and fully upgrade that Windcarver Blade. The attack speed feels great and the extra damage is very noticeable. And finally grab that Adamant Edge if you didn't earlier for the extra damage but mostly health, and finish the Lord's Ward off and you have your 60 card points. The deck, even though it sounds a bit confusing, is to 1. Keep you on the battlefield for as long as possible with mana regen and lifesteal, which also makes it easier to farm, which Aurora has a problem with. Secondly, use your abilities as much as possible with the cooldown. You have amazing abilities and you want to use them as much as possible. And finally, the damage and attack speed gets those kills. Aurora can't normally do much after her abilities, and she needs her team to finish them off. With the extra damage and the attack speed, you can jump on those frozen enemies and do big damage for yourself easily. You will always have a support character, so the offlaner needs to do their job by having that extra damage. There's the carry and the caster are the 2 big damage dealers on the team, but with your abilities really not needing much else, you might as well try to double down on that damage, attack speed, etc. for your basic attacks. I may do another deck guide soon, one focusing more on the support wall once I have played her a lot more after the draft dodging has disappeared. But anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.